There, welcome to your 4 to 5. I'm Eric Chilton along with Lauren Coleman and Tim Buckley.
Gotta say, the weather, it's been great the last couple of days.
Just perfect. We're going to hold Tim to it here in just a minute.
We're going to see if we can keep it around a little longer. That low humidity is just really nice to have after summer.
Very comfortable.
Absolutely. We'll check in with Tim a little later, but first, Mount Tabor students are preparing to head back to class for the first time since last week's deadly shooting.
Yeah, students met today to make their return a little more special. They told WFMY News 2's Jenna Carriza about the effort to share messages both of unity and of love.
Students made their mark across campus today as they made signs and placed them all around the school. Signs saying Spartan Strong, We Heart Tabor, Tabor City Spartan Strong. And they did this all in an effort to make sure that everyone, when they come here tomorrow, knows that they are all in this together. Students and parents met at Mount Tabor around 9 a.m. They painted signs for several hours in hopes of making tomorrow's return a little easier. One mom says she thinks this is helping with school morale.
Our art teacher, Barbara Trin, kind of spearheaded that she just wants tomorrow morning children to pull up feeling loved, feeling safe, feeling the sense of community that we've had for a long time. And so kids are decorating posters, signs. We're going to be cutting out little hearts to put on all the lockers and just let them know that they're loved and the teachers and staff are here for them like they've been from the get-go.
Some of the students we spoke to say they hope these messages of strength will let others know they aren't alone. Students also say they don't want other students to be scared to come back. The school district says they will have additional safety measures in place at all schools and are hoping tomorrow's return is as normal as possible for both students and staff. In Winston-Salem, Jenna Carriza, WFMY News 2.
Well, in the past few days, folks around the Triad have been showing that they are Spartan strong in support of Mount Tabor High School. So from banners to wearing the school's colors, navy and gold, they're doing it all here. A lot of the support is coming from other teachers and students within the Winston-Salem-Forsyth County School District. They're showing those impacted that they are not alone.
There are still so many questions about what happened at Mount Tabor High, and here's what we know right now. On Wednesday, September 1st, police say around noon, officers dispatched to the high school. They found one student with a gunshot wound, 15-year-old William Chavis Renard Miller Jr. EMS began life-saving measures, then transported him to Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist. There, Miller died from his injuries. Around 6 p.m., the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office said the shooting suspect was taken into custody. The police chief earlier said the suspect was believed to be a student. The suspect is a juvenile, and their name has not been released. The context around this shooting has also not been shared by investigators. We have full coverage of this tragic incident, continuing to learn what led up to that shooting and how the Triad is supporting the Mount Tabor community. You can find all of that on WFMYnews2.com.
So 3 people were injured in a house fire. This happened this morning in the Brown Summit area on Locust Grove Drive. Firefighters responded around 7:15 a.m. The fire was quickly put out, but the fire chief there says that 3 people were inside during the fire. They were taken to the hospital. We're still awaiting to find out an update on their condition. Neighbors of the fire victims say they've lived in that neighborhood for more than 40 years and they consider them to be family.
When you wake up the next morning to come to your neighbor's house, it's a fire, you don't know what to expect.
Right, life is so short.
Yeah.
Fire crews are working to learn more about the cause of that fire. Greensboro police are investigating after they say a person was shot late last night. They say it happened on Sales Way just after 11:45. Now, police say one person was shot, taken to the hospital. They have not released information about the victim's condition. If you know anything about this shooting, you are urged to call Crime Stoppers.
Let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. The person suspected of killing 4 people in Lakeland, Florida Sunday morning, including an infant, appeared in court today. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says they arrested 33-year-old Brian Riley, an ex-Marine, with the shootings. He's charged with shooting 5 people, killing 4 of them. Deputies say among his victims was an 11-year-old who was shot 7 times but is expected to be okay. They say a 40-year-old, 33-year-old, 62-year-old, and a 3-month-old were shot to death. The Polk County Sheriff describes Riley as a survivalist and says he also admitted to taking meth. Riley was not granted bond and is now back in the Polk County Jail. An Australian toddler was found safe after he was lost in the woods of Australia for 3 days. The 3-year-old's family says he is autistic and nonverbal. Rescuers searched the woods around the boy's home for days, but was finally spotted kneeling in a creek by rescuers in a helicopter. Other than some ant bites, a diaper rash, and some scratches, the toddler's family says he's doing well. Cleanup is still happening more than a week after Hurricane Ida tore through Louisiana. At the peak of the power outages, 902,000 energy customers in the state were affected. By Sunday morning, 349,000 had power. Another 553,000 did not. Energy CEO Philip May says there were more than 30,000 broken power poles alone that needed to be fixed. And while Energy has now assessed 100% of its system, equipment, poles, and lines in the hardest hit areas could take weeks to reach and lead to some people not having electricity for nearly a month. Hurricane Larry is moving through the Atlantic right now, and the storm is causing some danger on North Carolina's coast. Officials say so far at least 30 people have been rescued from rip currents this Labor Day weekend. The National Weather Service says 14 rip current rescues were made at Wrightsville Beach on Saturday. And then yesterday, there were 16 rescues at various New Hanover County beaches. Remember, these are just rescue numbers. There could be multiple people saved in each rescue.
Always good to keep that in mind when you go to the beach, especially if you're going to our many beaches that don't have lifeguards. Not all of them do on the North Carolina coast. Blue sky right now. It's a beautiful day in the Triad. If you haven't been outside, this is kind of the best part of the day so far, because earlier we had some clouds, we had some rain and all those other scattered things. Dew point is low, temperature right around 81 degrees, so it's around average for early September, and we're certainly enjoying that. 84 the current temperature in Burlington, a little bit of a light breeze on the flagpoles, right? And looking at that radar, you might not have had any rain at all. I know I didn't at my place, but there were just a couple scattered showers, mainly across the southern Piedmont, and they have all filtered away. There's a subtle little front here across the Carolinas, and it's just bringing a little bit of a difference from north to south. Temperatures kind of evening out now. We're generally in the low 80s, but you see a little bit of a cooler spell where it has had that rainfall. That's where the higher humidity is, lower humidity to the north, and it's trying to kind of surge southward. So overnight tonight, we should be nice and comfy. 50s in the north, low 60s to the south. Overall, very comfortable. Taking a look at tomorrow, low 60s in the morning, a little bit warmer than today, more like mid or even upper 80s for your high temperatures. That's how we're going to talk about your Tuesday. After that, the humidity is going to start to come back a little bit. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk more about Hurricane Larry, which does look very impressive in the Atlantic Ocean.
Evacuees from Afghanistan are on their way to the United States, beginning their long journey to escape from the Taliban rule. Many are being held in Europe before being flown here to the United States.
Right here in our state, folks are welcoming dozens of refugees. Our sister station in Charlotte shows you how groups are getting those refugees ready.
Zia Ghafouri spent 14 years working as an interpreter for the U.S. Army in Afghanistan. He's in Charlotte now, but fears for the loved ones he left behind.
They're looking for a place to hide, but as you know that the Taliban controlling the biometric, everything is in their hand. They could find him very easily.
Ghafouri and other Afghans gathered at Reedy Creek Park to connect with newly arrived refugees. Gita Amiri's husband also worked as an interpreter. She says she's plagued by depression and fear over the family she still has in Afghanistan.
Over there is no work right now, no go out, it's nothing. It's just like a dangerous place, and they are living in a darkness right now.
This event is organized by the Save Our Allies Coalition. The coalition has already helped evacuate 12,000 Afghans, and now they're helping some families get resettled here in Charlotte. Today, they're handing out supplies like blankets, school supplies, cleaning supplies, anything to make them feel comfortable.
The 12,000 that we were able to evacuate were SIVs, Afghan SIVs, interpreters, orphans, widows, Christians, Americans. It really encompassed a lot of people that we were able to get out into safety.
But Ghafouri says there are those who couldn't get out, and he is losing hope that they'll ever make it out safely.
All our mind, everything is in Afghanistan.
And if you'd like to help evacuees and refugees, we have a list of resources for you. They're right on our website, WFMYnews2.com. Just search for Refugee Help 2021.
In Afghanistan, the Taliban claims to have control of all of Afghanistan after seizing the last major province in the country. Amid growing uncertainty under Taliban rule, senior Republican Foreign Affairs Committee member Michael McCall accused the Taliban of holding Americans hostage.
6 airplanes with American citizens on them as I speak, also with these interpreters, and the Taliban is holding them hostage for demands right now. The state has cleared these flights, and the Taliban will not let them leave the airport.
Satellite photos of the airport north of Kabul show 6 passenger planes on the runway. Among 1,000 or so people trying to leave on those planes are American citizens. All the Taliban would tell us is they're looking into it. With no U.S. presence in Afghanistan, it's now all in Taliban hands. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Our weather here is so nice. I wanted to take a couple minutes to just talk about the tropics mostly. September is the peak time, as you know, for hurricane season. And right now we have a very strong one. Thankfully, it's in the middle of the ocean and probably not going to impact very many folks. This is Hurricane Larry, a major storm. Winds are at 120 miles per hour, has a very low pressure here, and this is a Category 3 hurricane. And you'll notice very clearly, look at the size of that eye. I measured it. It's about 75 miles wide up and down and left to right. So very impressive. The storm track is going to take it relatively close to Bermuda. Should be spared a direct hit, but some outer rain bands could impact Bermuda. Of course, we are very far away from the system, so rip currents, they'll continue at the beaches, but other than that, we're pretty much in good shape. It's always nice to see these big storms stay out in the ocean, and it looks like that's the case for us too. Our weather the next few days, very nice for tomorrow. We'll have another front moving closer this week, and it'll kind of bring the humidity back at least for a day or two. Going into Wednesday, that's when we'll start to feel a little bit more humid, and there will be a risk of a couple pop-up storms. I don't expect very many. It's only about a 30% chance of getting wet. That's for Wednesday. The rest of the week actually looks to be pretty dry and a little cooler and more or less humid. So enjoy Thursday, Friday, and Saturday going into the weekend.
Well, you know, Shelton Vineyards in Surry County is known for excellent wine, great food, and a beautiful setting. But it's time for an annual event that draws people from miles around, and it has nothing to do with anything I just mentioned. I spoke with General Manager Travis Dale about the running of the vines. Take a look. Travis, thanks for taking time out today, man. Hey, I know this weekend is big. You guys have been doing this running of the vines for a while. Talk a little bit about the history behind this thing.
So this is the 10th anniversary of running of the vines. And it's to benefit the Surry County Parks and the Mount Airy Parks Department, and it's just a great fun race out at the vineyard, and it's going to be a beautiful day, and we're looking forward to having everybody out here.
So do you do a 5 and a 10K, or is it just a 5K? Because these people actually run through the vineyard, don't they?
Yeah, they run through the center of the vineyard, and then it's a big loop around, and there's a 5K and a 10K, and they're doing a fun run for children as well, and it's just not as much, but it's going to be a big event, and we're expecting over 600 people for this race, so it's going to be a amazing day. There's going to be a lot of energy out here at the vineyard.
That's for sure. And then you culminate at the end of the day, you've got your concert series coming up. I hear there's I'm shameless plug here, but there might be a local band playing.
We've got this guy Eric Shelton, the Chiltones. You guys have been playing out here, many times, and it's always a big hit. And after the race, we've got a couple music throughout the day, and then we've got the big concert that night. So at 6 o'clock, you guys are going to be playing, and it's just going to be an awesome day with music and entertainment, and it's just going to be a fun time.
So I know fall is, it's beautiful up there that time of the year. What do you guys have planned in the future coming up?
We've got one more concert left in our, we'll call it the summer concert series. And on the 18th of September, we have the TAMs kind of finishing out our summer concert series. And then we have the fall festival coming up after that. And it's just going to keep going from there with some other great events this fall. But we're looking forward to some cooler temperatures.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Surry County is my home county, so I know I'm a little biased, but it's great up there. Thank you, Travis, for taking time out today. Lauren and I have talked about this. It is truly, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful vineyards of anywhere. And I think they started the whole trend of doing wineries in North Carolina.
Okay.
They were around since 2000, I believe. But it's beautiful. Rolling hills and the 5 and 10K, you literally run right through the vineyards, really. And then they've got the concert thing, a restaurant that's incredible, Harvest Grill right on site. And they even own a Hampton Inn that's right there, too, so you can spend the night if you want.
The pictures looked absolutely
Yes.
gorgeous, but I like that little plug that you put in there.
You like that through a shameless...
The little plug you put in there about your band. So.
He said in the beginning, he said, do you want me to mention that y'all... I said, I don't care with you. And then I said, there's a band playing there.
Yeah, some guy named Eric Chilton,
He's a nice guy to do that. But ironically, that is my band's last concert, so we would love to see as many of you come out as we can.
Yeah, let's go out and support Eric and the Chilton.
We'll be right back.
All right, I am talking about ways that parents can teach their children to be compassionate and to speak up for other people. Yep.
An 8-year-old has become an inspiration to so many after standing up for her classmate who was being bullied. Claretta Flynn is a 3rd grader in Fort Mill, South Carolina. On her first day of school, when all of her classmates took their seats, one of the other girls in her class was seated at a desk surrounded by plexiglass. The teacher said the girl's parents had asked for it, and by the end of the day, Claretta said she watched while many of the kids in class teased the girl for having a desk that was different than anyone else's. Claretta went home that day and told her parents what happened.
I told my dad and I said I wanted plexiglass because I didn't want this girl to be left out, that she was the only one having it. And I just thought it was a nice thing to do for somebody.
Oh, I love that. Claretta Flynn's story goes on to show that regardless of your age, anyone can stand up against bullying, and that's what Blanca Cobb is here to talk with us about today. So let's jump right into it. So Blanca, what are some ways to teach children to be compassionate and stand up for others?
A great way to start is with parents. Parents are so influential in their children's lives. So when your child is watching you as the parent, your level of compassion to not only your children, but to other people, that really sets a standard. And then when you catch your children doing something great, like being compassionate, you want to acknowledge it, but it just can't be good job, because it really doesn't mean much in the big picture. It's more like, you know, honey, when you saw Johnny fall and you went over to check on him, did you see that smile on his face? That really showed that you cared and he appreciated it. The more specific you are, the more your children are able to process such a difficult concept as compassion. And then also you want to point out examples of compassionate people, whether you're watching a show together or in real life, you're at the grocery store, at the park. When you see compassion, you want to point it out because it shows your children, or gives your children, other examples of what compassion looks like.
So how do you teach kids to be compassionate?
One great way is by teaching them to read facial expressions. So many times we try to hide what we're really feeling, but if you teach your children to recognize facial expressions of happiness or sadness or anger or fear, because it lets your child know what someone is feeling in the moment, and that way they can respond appropriately. And some people question and they go, wait a second, what do you mean a fake smile? Well, sometimes when someone's being picked on, they don't want anybody to know it's bothering them, so they might give a fake smile even though it's bothering them. And if your child can pick up on those social cues, it really puts them in a good position to be more compassionate, show more compassion, and do something about it.
So as children, we witness a lot of bullying and things of that nature. So how do we teach, what are some tips to teach young children how to stand up for others?
Well, you definitely want to encourage them to speak up, and it starts at home. And that can be tough for mom and dad because that means your kids are going to have to stand up to you, speak up to you, and you want to encourage it. But you want to encourage it when it's done tactfully yet assertively. And realize this, with young children, a lot of times they're led by emotion. It's how they're feeling. So you want to teach them how to rein in that emotion and use non-confrontational words, modulate their tone of voice to still be assertive yet tactful. For example, if there's name calling, you can teach your child to say, hey, name calling isn't necessary. I don't really understand what you're trying to tell me, but if you use your words and explain how you're feeling, I can understand. So if your children hears that language in home from you, they're going to be able to take that same language, put it in their own words, and use it when they're out of the house, when they're at school or on the playground or they're with friends.
Absolutely. Some great information and advice that kids can use each and every day. You can continue the conversation with Blanca on her Facebook page, Blanca Cobb, Body Language Expert. We'll be right back.
Hey, Jalen's going to be in this block also. Mic check, Jalen. Cool beans.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Lauren Coleman here with Eric Chilton and Tim Buckley.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our forecast in a little bit. Tim, you're starting to, that heat's coming back just little by little.
A little bit, right? It kind of feels like you're getting away with something when we had that nice stretch, and it's still really nice. So you know some of that is going to come back, but it's still not a bad forecast. We'll talk about it.
We'll get there. It is still early September.
It's still pretty good, though.
It's a good time of year usually for us. As long as we can keep the hurricanes away.
So true, so true. All right, so lots coming up, including this story. You know, raising kids can be very stressful. There are fears that are just naturally associated with that process. One of those fears came true for Mount Tabor parents last week, and that's when a student, of course, was shot and killed on school grounds.
And tomorrow will be the first day students will be in the classroom since Wednesday's shooting. WFNY News 2's Jalen Gilkey spoke with one dad who is surprisingly optimistic about his daughter returning to school.
Yeah, Josh Jerry is a Marine vet with a daughter in 10th grade at Mount Tabor High School. Although he says Wednesday was one of the scariest days of his life, he and his daughter Haley are ready to put all of this behind them.
And, she was kind of shaken up. And so then there's the frantic search on social media. What's going on? And then once I started hearing on the police scanner what it was, that's when the anxiety starts to go up a little bit. Because, like I said, when it's me, I can control it, right? But I can't control the situation.
After 6 hours of waiting and wondering, Josh, Gary, and his daughter Haley were finally back together.
Actual realization, you're seeing other parents leave with their kids, and the parents are crying, the kids are crying, just having that wave of emotion and relief. I got it. As soon as I saw her, she comes running up to me and gives me a hug.
Tomorrow, students will be back in the class at Mount Tabor for the first time since William Miller Jr. was shot and killed. And according to Josh, his daughter Haley and her classmates are tougher than people think.
I don't have a problem with it, and I don't think that she is really sees it as a big deal. Kids are tougher than we give them credit for.
According to the district's public information officer, Brent Campbell, crisis and grief counselors will be available to students on campus as they readjust to being back in the building.
All right, so experts say the most important thing for those impacted by the Mount Tabor shooting is to heal and seek help if you need it. Counseling services are available, of course, here in the Triad. Now, Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools has those counselors available to listen and help students work through those feelings. They also have a whole list of resources for students and parents. That's all on their website. Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist, the largest employer in Winston-Salem, is offering adult and pediatric telehealth counseling services to their workers and their families and really the whole community. You can find out all the information you need on these services right on their website. Well, as many students are dealing with the mental struggle of returning to school, we want to take some time to raise awareness about an important issue that's all across the United States. This week is National Suicide Prevention Week. If you've been feeling more anxious since the pandemic hit, you are not alone. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, about 4 in 10 adult Americans have reported symptoms of anxiety or depressive disorders during the pandemic. Now, that's compared to about 1 in 10 between January and June in 2019. If you feel as though you need assistance, there are resources out there for you. We'll highlight one right now, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the number right there on your screen, but there it is, 800-273-8255.
3 people were injured in a house fire this morning. It happened in Brown Summit on Locust Grove Drive. Firefighters responded around 7:15 this morning. The fire was quickly put out, but the fire chief says 3 people were inside during the fire. They were taken to the hospital. We are still waiting for an update on their conditions. Neighbors of the victims say they've lived in the neighborhood for more than 40 years and consider them to be family. Fire crews are working to learn more about what caused the fire. Greensboro police are investigating after they say a person was shot late last night. They say it happened on Salesway just after 11:45. Police say one person was shot and taken to the hospital. They have not released information about the victim's condition. If you know anything about the shooting, call Crime Stoppers.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. About 7.5 million Americans have lost their federal unemployment benefits. That is the largest drop-off in American history. The Biden administration ended those benefits on Saturday. It says states can still use recovery funds to help those without jobs, but no state has done that so far. The country's unemployment rate dropped from 5.4% to 5.2%, but hiring in August seriously slowed down as COVID cases surged across the U.S. Well, Dr. Anthony Fauci says the U.S. should be able to start administering those booster shots in about 2 weeks. He says the Biden administration still plans to give out 3rd doses of the Pfizer vaccine. The Moderna booster doses may need to wait a few weeks more. Health experts say Americans should consider getting the third shot 8 months after they get their 2nd dose. The White House says it hopes to start giving out shots on September 20th, but they're still waiting for FDA approval. Well, a special beer at Greensboro's Little Brothers Brewing helps local firefighters. The brewery started serving a red ale last month. It's called Local 947. That is named after the labor organization that represents the city's firefighters. $1 from every pint sold goes to firefighters and their families. The money can also help people in the community that are suffering right now. That program runs until September the 18th. Well, maybe you've heard of this, the Carolina squat. Well, now it's illegal to modify trucks in this way. Governor Cooper signed this into law, House Bill 692. That happened last week. Truck owners are now not allowed to modify a truck to make that front fender 4 or more inches taller than the rear fender. Opponents of the Carolina squat say it's dangerous because drivers can't see directly in front of the truck and they could accidentally hit something. Drivers, by the way, who break this law now will get their license taken away for a year.
Heading to the beach, well, Hurricane Larry in the Atlantic Ocean is causing some danger on North Carolina's coast. Officials say so far, at least 30 people have been rescued from rip currents this Labor Day weekend. The National Weather Service says 14 rip current rescues were made at Wrightsville Beach alone on Saturday. And yesterday, there were 16 rescues at various new Hanover County beaches. Remember, these are just rescue numbers. There could be multiple people saved in each rescue. Here's a reminder for how to handle the dangerous rip currents. Keep an eye out for the beach flags. Red means surface high or currents are dangerous. 2 red flags mean extreme danger, don't get in. If you happen to get caught up in a rip current, call and wave for help and float. Do not swim back to shore against the current because you will tire out. Swim out of the rip parallel to the shore and follow breaking waves back to shore at an angle.
Always good advice. We see it all the time at the beaches. You got to be careful in that water. Hey, here locally, everything's good to go. We're in very nice shape right now with partly cloudy skies. Perfect weather for a Labor Day cookout. Maybe an evening outside on the deck or something like that. Dew points are low. Temperatures pretty comfortable. Right around 81 right now in Greensboro, 84 in Burlington. Just a little bit of a breeze. Temperatures really dependent on if you had any early showers today. Those that did, you're a few degrees cooler right now, but most of us have made it up into the 80s at this point, and the humidity is slightly lower to the north and a bit higher to the south, so that really depends on where you live. For tonight, these are your overnight low temps. Mid 50s, low 60s. Really just depends on your county and local city. Heading into tomorrow, it's a cool morning. All sun all the time. Not expecting any rain chance for Tuesday. We'll be right around 87 for the high. So it does get warmer. Still not humid though. The humidity will come back on Wednesday, and that's when we have at least a chance for a couple storms.
You know, for millions of Americans, Labor Day weekend, that's the last chance to travel before the unofficial into summer. But the holiday getaway looks a lot different this year. Far more people are traveling than compared to 2020. But in general, the travel industry is still trying to get back on its feet. Despite the continued increase in COVID cases around the country, the folks are on the move, of course. But the CDC has advised those not vaccinated to sit out holiday travel.
Our choices today and over this weekend can help prevent the worst case scenario for our healthcare system.
We're all vaccinated, so we feel comfortable hanging out together.
The TSA estimates that roughly more than 3.5 million travelers passed through airports on Friday and Saturday alone. That is more than twice as many as compared to last year.
For many Americans, Labor Day is a day off of work, an excuse to hold a cookout as well.
Like we need one, yeah. But there is a rich history behind the holiday. It marks a dangerous point in time for millions of workers in the United States. Let's take a closer look at the reason for the day.
Labor Day is about a lot more than just a day off work. There's a rich history behind why we celebrate. Let's connect the dots. In the late 1800s, the average person worked 12-hour days, 7 days a week, just to make ends meet. Sometimes kids as young as 5 would work in factories and mines. The working conditions were extremely unsafe. Labor unions formed. They organized strikes and called on employers to give them better hours and pay. On September 5th, 1882, 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march in New York City. It's considered the first Labor Day parade in U.S. history. Eventually, Congress followed suit. They passed an act making Labor Day a holiday. President Grover Cleveland officially signed it into law in June of 1894, and that's connecting the dots.
Nice to put everything in perspective like that, because you know when you think Labor Day, you're thinking cookouts,
That's
parades,
right.
Fun weather, all that great stuff.
It's
but
kind of lost its meaning over the years. So so originally I was reading about this today because my 2 cents today is on working on Labor Day.
Okay.
But they were saying that at one point the average worker was worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. There weren't laws to regulate that kind of thing, and so obviously nobody can sustain that. So little by little they formed labor unions and kind of, so it celebrates the American worker, which back then was was a tough life.
I think
we're pretty lucky to be around now before back then, but that's a lot of hard work by those folks to kind of fight for that, right? That wasn't just given to them because, oh, we feel nice now. We don't want to make as much money. No, they had to fight for it. So thanks to those unions for doing their job way back when.
I think we need to fight for 3-day weekends now.
Yeah, we've said this over and over, but I am a full supporter of having Friday, Saturday, Sundays off.
I love
Hey,
it.
that is happening in some countries
it
now.
Is.
I think Iceland is doing it. Don't quote me on any of this, but this is sort of a trend, and with the pandemic, it kind of maybe accelerated it for some. So we'll see.
We'll see. Something to look forward to.
We're proponents. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, I am walking out of my office straight to you. Ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie. They forever go together like a classic combination. When a dark, delicious cookie meets an icy cold sensation. When the only creamy chocolate, O-R-E-O. O-R-E-O, O-R-E-O. Okay, this is my Monday confession. I have a personal relationship with this fried pork chop sandwich. It is from the Munchie Wagon. It is the fair food that I do not miss every single year at the Carolina Classic Fair. So I ask you, it's fair season, and fair food is really the best part of the fair. Is it okay?
It is.
It is.
So what is your must-have fair food?
Now that one looked a lot like the Snappy Lunch fried pork chop sandwich. That's what it reminded me of in Mount Airy.
It can remind you of it. I'm
But it's
just
different?
telling you that it's
All right.
better.
I gotta try it. So for me, it's always the funnel cake stuff. I just love the simple. Yeah.
Okay.
Funnel cake is good. I have to have a turkey leg.
Oh,
And
really?
then- yes, those are so good. And then I like the fried Oreos as well.
Yeah, the fried Oreos are really good. And I have to tell you, get the, I like the yellow Oreos.
Oh, the
versus
golden
the
ones.
chocolate
I do
Oreos.
too.
Better
Big fan
fried,
of those.
just so you know. Okay, so fried foods are a given. But what about the weird foods like this?
What is this on top? These are crickets.
These are the roasted crickets.
Yeah, you heard that right. Roasted crickets, people, on top of the honey cricket nut butter, because why wouldn't you? Folks say they taste like the pumpkin seed. Fair goers in Minnesota will have the pleasure of trying all things cricket.
About 80% of the world consumes a lot of bugs. It's a great protein source. It has a lot of vitamins and minerals. It actually has twice the source of iron as beef.
the source of iron is beef. So what do you think about crickets, friends?
I know Eric is not for it. I can feel that he's saying
He's
yuck.
saying no?
Nope.
I would try it. I mean, you only live once.
Right.
So why not try it? I mean, I bet if you gave it to me and didn't tell me it was a cricket, I wouldn't think it was a cricket.
No, that's
so
true.
Why not?
Yeah, if somebody just said, taste this, see what you think. It's the idea of the crunch of bugs that I cannot take.
That you can't do.
I can do, I've tried, I've done caviar, I've done any kind of meat you can think of, like, bison and ox and everything, ostrich, I've eaten all that. That doesn't bother me, but it's the bug thing that bothers me.
So I'm not a huge fan of like, hey, let me just eat a bug, right? But I'm okay if it's dead. The problem is when they're actually alive and they make you eat something that's alive and
See, I couldn't do that.
That's
that's drawing the line there.
All right, so the last time I got to go to the fair before COVID, right, and things were normal, here's what the offerings were. Let's take a look at this. The big drawback then was the pickle lemonade. So yes, the real pickles from Mount Olive mixed with fresh lemonade. It's the salty and the sweet. I thought it was really good. Then there was the fried taco burrito thing. I thought that was really good too. The lettuce stayed crispy inside the burrito, which I thought was really weird. And then this, last but not least, the gummies, because they're all outlandish, right? And this one was a big, huge goldfish.
Oh.
And I just think that's funny, right? Because that's what people used to do at the fair, was they used to eat the goldfish, right?
Swallow them whole.
After you won the thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that
like
was the
back
thing.
in the day.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago.
So the food list for the Carolina Fair comes out in about a week or so. What would you like to see on the menu?
Fried pickles.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
I like
that.
fried pickles.
I like anything super hot spicy. So whatever they have that's like through the roof spices, I love that.
Yeah, I want to try this pickle lemonade. That actually
I
looks
would try
really
that.
refreshing.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, especially if you like the taste of a dill pickle.
Yeah.
Right? So, and this is interesting to me too. There's a place in town who does a dill pickle pizza. So pizza with the cheese and whatever else, but it's got dill pickles on it.
That sounds great.
That
Okay,
sounds
and
delicious.
that's at Boxcar, ladies and gentlemen. So you might want to try that.
Might be my
because
weekend plans.
It was
then.
really good. All right. And if they don't have what you want and you think it's not fair, my husband says, the fair, life's not fair. The fair is 5 days in October. There you go.
Words of wisdom. We'll be right back. You know, everybody loves to play cornhole, don't you know? That tailgating and backyard trash talking is second to none. But can you believe this? There's a chance this sport could make it to the Olympics. I caught up with professional cornhole master and Kernersville resident Allison Peters for the scoop.
If this one doesn't go. Chance to win it and drops them both in. The game winner. What a shot. Wow, I didn't think there was any way that bag on the back.
Allison, thanks for being with us today. I know when we talked, seems like it was about a year ago, we were hinting to the point that maybe the sport of cornhole will make it into the Olympics. Give us an update on this.
Basically around 35 to 40 countries are pretty much committed, 35 for sure, and we have to have 75 countries to put cornhole into the Olympics, and I feel like our future, we're definitely moving forward with that. I think it'll be maybe a shot for it in about 8 years.
That's amazing. What started as a tailgating backyard sport could actually be an Olympic deal. So let's talk about with the sport itself. I mean, now I'm seeing this on CBS. I mean, this national coverage for these tournaments that you enter. How does all that work?
It started for me by becoming an ACL pro. American Cornhole League has provided a lot of opportunities with broadcasting companies such as ESPN, CBS, and then the USA Cornhole is last year worked with NBC. So but it starts with becoming a professional cornhole player and then entering the tournaments with other professional cornhole players.
Yeah, it's amazing. For people that don't know, you guys have sponsors just like any professional athlete. I mean, you can see it on your jerseys or the shirts, and it's very cool. So you've been working hard at this over the past several years, and now you've got into the rankings. Talk about how the rankings work and where are you?
The way we are actually become professionals this past year, I qualified in my doubles rankings. My professional partner and I were 44th, and so that automatically qualifies me for the next year, so I don't have to try out again. In women's, I just finished the pro shootout for CBS Sports, and it was the top 8 women, and I finished 7th.
Yeah, but you have to talk about when it comes to world competition, because I know you did well. Talk about that.
Yeah, we finished the World Championships, and there were 128 women competing in women's, and I finished tied for 3rd. So I feel pretty confident about my game right now.
That's amazing, 3rd. And you're right here in the triad. So we're proud of you, Allison. Thanks for taking time out today. Yeah, so this is the real deal, and Laura and I were discussing that. I don't think I knew until last year that there was a professional cornhole league, and they call it the ACL. She said they're about halfway to get the number of countries needed. I think she said 35, 37, something like that. They just need to double that number, and they think they can do it in 8 years, and then you just literally see a gold medal winner in cornhole.
That is really impressive. Yeah, I didn't know that this was like on a world stage, but you probably have to have like a lot of precision and to be able to do that, because her shots were amazing there in that video.
Did you see that shot, Tim,
I was
at
like,
the beginning? I mean, she's good.
I think you have to be so good to be. I can't even get like a couple bags in throughout the whole round. And I think for that, you probably need to get just the right amount at just the right time to win the game. So they know what they're doing, and kudos to her.
Yeah, I have seen her in some of the videos online. If you search her name, I've seen her hit about 10 in a row. I mean, it's missing is more.
So I need her on my team.
Yes. Sounds so easy, but it's
next
so
time I'm
hard.
at a cookout or something.
Not easy. All right, we're coming right back. Stay there.
You're like, 1, 2, 3. That's pretty cool.
She was playing forever.
Hello, it's a mic check for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's like golf. They keep playing. Hey, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you keep playing golf, So it's time for my 2 cents, and I thought today, since I'm working, we're going to talk about laboring on Labor Day. The people that have to work. Now, in case you didn't know, just quick history here. This started in the late 1800s when then President Grover Cleveland in 1894 signed it into law that we would celebrate the American workforce, of course. Now, remember, previous to that, the labor laws were pretty much non-existent. There were some horrible working conditions. Little by little, they did some reform, and then now we celebrate the American worker. So today is kind of the unofficial end to the summer season, as much as I hate to say that. But 97% of employers in this country give at least some employees the day off on Labor Day. But how about this? 41% of businesses are still open and need some level of staffing. I mean, it makes sense. The world can't stop, right? We do celebrate the American worker, but first responders and air traffic controllers, nurses, some doctors, television news people. I mean, there are people that do have to labor on Labor Day, but we always will keep it close in our heart and celebrate the American worker. My advice to you on this Labor Day, get your vacation request in early enough so you're not left having to work on Labor Day. That's just my 2 cents, and that's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.